Paul Miller is a golf course architect whose work includes the popular redesign of Otter Creek and Ankeny, as well as Talents of Tuscany and Ankeny. Please welcome Paul to present Tom Verrips.
Good evening. It's a great honor to introduce tonight's fourth Iowa Golf Hall of Fame inductee, Mr. Tom Verrips. I've had the pleasure of working with Tom on multiple golf course projects for the City of Ankeny at Otter Creek Golf Course. During our 20 years of working together and 30 plus years of friendship, I found Tom to be the consummate professional who contributed greatly to the quality of the game of golf in Iowa. There are three major categories to Tom's contributions to golf in Iowa. First, his commitment to providing premier playing experiences on the golf courses that he worked at. Secondly, his contributions to making Otter Creek one of the best public golf facilities in the state. And lastly, his dedication to advancing his profession with his extensive involvement in the Iowa Golf Course Superintendents Association and the Iowa Turfgrass Institute. I'd like to talk about Tom's excellence in each of these three areas of service. First, his commitment as an employee and a leader to the membership of the clubs he worked for and the residents of Ankeny to protect their investment and to provide great playing conditions on their golf courses. Tom's dedication to putting out the best golf course product possible was evident from our very first golf course tour in the early 90s through our last project, a complete multi-phase renovation of Otter Creek Golf Course that provided a completely new 18-hole golf course, a new practice range, and new clubhouse facilities. Rick Tetmeyer, a fellow member of the Iowa Golf Hall of Fame, spoke of the diligence that Tom brought to his work and professional associations. Tom always voted his mind and the integrity he stood for. He never wavered, even if it was against the status quo. Tom's leadership and contributions are well documented by the awards he received over the years from various organizations, end of quote. Secondly, Tom's commitment to providing the best golf experience at Otter Creek for all players. Over the many years that I worked with Tom at Otter Creek, I found him to have a clear understanding of what it takes to manage the turf on a daily basis and to make it one of the most enjoyable and playable public golf courses in the state of Iowa. As evidenced by, he was named Iowa Golf Course Superintendent of the Year in 2004, and Otter Creek was selected as Iowa's 18-hole golf course of the year in 2016. Tom led multiple renovation projects at Otter Creek. This is the area I have the most experience with Tom, and subsequently the most stories. Like an early new putting green project, when he kept reminding our contractor that their already delivered greens mix still had to be tested to meet our USGA defined soil blend and sand gradation requirements. Our contractor, with soon to be trucked back out greens mix that didn't meet the specs, found out that Tom wasn't one to budge on quality, or in this case, the industry standards that were paid for by the City of Ankeny. Tom managed the day-to-day realities of the renovation of Otter Creek, starting in 2006, a multi-phase effort which included keeping 18 holes open during phase one, expanding the golf course footprint from a 160-acre golf-only parcel to a 360-acre golf course development with 279 homes. We faced our series of weather-related setbacks during the construction of the new Otter Creek, such as dealing with the complete washout of 3 newly seeded holes with an opening day deadline that was not going to move. Those of you who have been through this process know the anxiety and stress created by extreme storm events at this delicate stage of construction and golf course grow-in processes. Throughout these challenges, Tom never sacrificed the long-range vision of providing the highest quality turf conditions that were going to be expected to make Otter Creek the top public golf course that it would become. The new Otter Creek opened on time and on budget in 2009 to great reviews. Last but certainly not least, Tom was dedicated to advancing his profession with his involvement in the Iowa Golf Course Superintendents Association and the Iowa Turf Institute. Many young superintendents stand on the shoulders of Tom and his fellow Hall of Fame colleagues that worked tirelessly to get their profession the respect it deserves. The gold standard for service in the IGCSA is to complete a multi-year, high-level commitment that includes a tour of duty on the board of directors. Tom served 2 tours of duty, now known as the Verrips standard, on the IGCSA board of directors. He served as president in 1998. Tom received their Distinguished Service Award in 2003. In addition to this extensive IGCSA involvement, Tom was a Golf Course Superintendents Association chapter delegate for 5 years, and Tom corrected me tonight and said that was actually 7. He served on the USGA Green Section Committee for 5 years, and he served the Iowa Turfgrass Institute for 13 years, including a stint as president in 2006. In 2017, the Iowa Turfgrass Institute presented Tom with their Meritorious Service Award. Tom's extensive track record of providing excellent administrative skills, mentoring other turf professionals, his industry leadership at a state and national level, and his successful collaboration on multiple renovation projects with the day-to-day commitment to make Otter Creek one of the premier public golf courses in Iowa, make his induction into the prestigious Iowa Golf Hall of Fame a much-deserved honor. I'm proud to present tonight's 4th Iowa Hall of Fame inductee and my good friend, Mr. Tom Verrips.
Thank you, Paul, for your introduction. Congratulations to my fellow inductees and your families. I would like to thank the Iowa Golf Hall of Fame Committee for inducting me into the Hall of Fame. Thank you to Jeff Wendell for nominating me for consideration by the committee, and to all who wrote letters of support for my nomination. I appreciate you all for your efforts on my behalf. It can be very humbling to read what your peers think of you. I was nominated for the Lifetime Achievement category, which is for individuals who have made a contribution to golf outside of playing accomplishments. Those of you who know me know that if playing ability was any part of my evaluation, I would not be qualified. Excuse me. My involvement with the IGCSA started in 1988, and I agreed to serve out a remaining term of a superintendent that was leaving the state. I was working at Otter Creek Golf Course for the City of Ankeny. Ankeny is a very progressive community, and I received the support of city management to serve. But I would really like to tell you how I arrived at Otter Creek and the people that I worked with that inspired me to want to serve my professional associations. My first job working at a golf course came about in 1970 quite by accident. I grew up on a farm in northwest Iowa near Sheldon and was on summer vacation from high school. I had a cousin that worked at the Sheldon Country Club on the grounds crew. Sheldon Country Club had a Floyd River that meandered around and through the golf course with many telephone pole bridges and plank bridges that were used to cross the river. They had a major flood and most of the bridges washed downstream on the neighbor's farm. They called to our farm one day wanting my older brother Larry to help them for a few weeks to retrieve the bridges and prepare for their big annual tri-state tournament. Larry was working at the time for a local meat packing plant and was unavailable. So I called him back and told him that I was available and would love to work. They said, okay. After a couple of weeks working, it was payday. Lyle Westrom was the PGA Pro Superintendent at Sheldon at the time, and when he handed me my paycheck, he said, "Well, you're a hard worker and you're not afraid to get dirty. You want a job?" And of course I said yes. I worked for Lyle for the next 3 years until he left to accept a new position at the new Hampton Country Club. The next year, Sheldon Country Club hired Doug Snook to be their next PGA Pro Superintendent, and I started working for him. Now keep in mind, this was just a summer job, and I was going to go to the University of South Dakota to study medical technology when I graduated from high school, which I did. Late in my freshman year at University of South Dakota, I developed a lump on the side of my neck, went to a specialist, and they wanted to operate to find out what was going on. They thought I had Hodgkin's disease. I didn't know a lot, but I knew that there was no cure for that. And this caused this college freshman to do some real soul searching. I decided that if I made it through this, I was not going to spend 8 hours a day in a hospital lab. So summer break came, and back to Sheldon and the golf course I went, not really knowing what I was going to do in the fall. That summer, I really enjoyed working on the golf course, and it hit me, why don't I do this for a career? I talked to Doug about it. He suggested we go to a Sioux City superintendent's meeting and find out some education opportunities for golf course maintenance. Several suggestions were made, and I decided to look at Hawkeye Institute of Technology for in their horticulture science program. After visiting the school with my father, I decided to enroll. Thanks, Doug, for leading me in the direction of schooling to learn a profession. The first year at Hawkeye, our classes included a class called Introduction to the Industry. This was a class we visited many horticulture-related businesses, including nurseries, greenhouses, flower centers, institutional grounds, and golf courses. One of the golf courses we visited was Sunnyside Country Club, where Charlie Pribble was the superintendent. I was so impressed with Sunnyside and Charlie Pribble that the next day after school, I stopped by to talk to Charlie about working while I was at school. Luckily, he said yes. Working for Charlie at Sunnyside was an eye-opening experience for this Northwest Iowa farm kid. Charlie was always involved in the IGCSA and the creation of the Iowa Turfgrass Institute, and served on the board of directors. This inspired me to someday want to do the same when I became superintendent. After graduating from Hawkeye, I continued to work at Sunnyside until the fall of '77, when I received a call from the Hampton Country Club. Their superintendent had suffered a stroke, and it was determined that they needed to find a new superintendent. I interviewed with them and was hired in early September of 1977. I stayed at Hampton through the 1984 golf season. I always had this desire to run an 18-hole golf course in the back of my mind. The board of directors at Hampton Country Club was changing, and I could see that the next year was probably going to be more difficult than the ones before. I had a very wise man tell me one day that if it looks like they're getting ready to run you out of town, make it look like you're leading the parade. Pretty sound advice, I figured. So looking for jobs, I went. There were several 18-hole jobs open that winter, and Otter Creek Golf Course was one of them. I got an interview and was offered the job and started in early March of 1985. I worked for the City of Ankeny at Otter Creek for 29 years until I retired. In that time, Otter Creek developed into a very respectable public golf course, and there are a few people I'd like to mention that worked for me for most of that time. Lennis Berkland was my assistant superintendent for the majority of time and is now superintendent at Otter Creek. Mike Berkland was a mechanic and also worked with me for most of that time. To say I relied on these two men immensely would be an understatement. Trying to run an 18-hole golf course without a capable assistant and mechanic is next to impossible. Thank you, Mike and Lennis, for your help. I couldn't have done it without you. I'd also like to thank Kevin Beard, Kurt Ingham, and Katie Thielman, who were the pro shop and clubhouse staff that we worked very closely with. My time at Otter Creek is when I was able to do most of my service to the industry. I was inspired by Charlie Pribble and Doug Snook, who both spent many years serving on the Iowa Golf Course Superintendents Association and the Iowa Turfgrass Institute Board of Directors. I thank them both for leading me down this journey. It was one I truly enjoyed. Thank you to all the people that I served with on the various boards and committees over the years. I made many good, true, lasting friendships that are very special still today. I would also like to thank my family who are here with me today for your support and love throughout my life. I would also like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for his love and the mercy that he so freely gives. Thank you again to the Hall of Fame Committee for this honor.